You finally, and we've said this sort of tongue in cheek, joking before, but once upon a time, your dad knew there were opportunities for you to leave and for you to go to WCW. And he didn't even share those with you because he said you weren't ready for it. And instead, you go the WWF route and you win what we've jokingly referred to as the assistant manager title. And you win it over and over and over. The Intercontinental Championship and you were very familiar. And you've had all the tag runs there. But the big one had eluded you. Now, here in WCW, very quickly, you're the US champ, but that is sort of the WCW version of the Intercontinental Championship. Getting your chance to win what was still what most people considered the NWA world title. And I know the NWA existed and the 10 pounds of gold was out there. But when people think about the NWA title, they think about the 10 pounds of gold and the big gold belt more often than not. And now you've got that. The belt you saw on Crockett in 1986 debuted on TBS. And you're wrestling on those same stations now, TBS and TNT. And make no mistake, this is a milestone worthy of celebration. Even as a fan, when you used to pick up the Pro Wrestling Illustrated and it'd have all the different leagues and federations in the back and have their rankings, they'd always designate who the champion was. And now, instead of having to imagine one day I'd like to see my name there, it is. You're there. And Vince Russo and Eric Bischoff are by your side. You're having your big moment, the big gold belt, the actual leather and plates that Dusty Rhodes and Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan and just on and on and on. I mean, all these greats have held. Now you're there. Is this a big day personally for you? Is any of is the wife there? Is any family there? Are you talking to your dad on the phone? Take us back to that day. Not character wise, not professionally, just Jeff Jarrett, the dude.
Stop and smell the roses was never an equation in my grandmother's mindset, in my dad's mindset, and certainly in my mindset. I said at the top of the podcast, Conrad, this past weekend I was in Tampa, and as that we were visiting different colleges, but I heading out of town, and we were going to a place, and I pulled up to the light, and I looked over, and there's Sundome, where the first time I won the Intercontinental title. And in my mind, I went back to a couple of conversations that I've had with my dad over the last 3 or 3 years, 2 or 3 years, when we have lunches on Tuesday once a month and all that. And, as reflecting all that, and when everything went national, in our territory, it was the Southern Heavyweight title that was the belt, Lawler and all that. So that was aspirational. But when everything went national, it was the world belt that Hogan and opponents fought over. But I'll call it the wrestler's belt was the IC title. And it was Savage, and it was Brett, and it was Kurt Hennig. And, we could name a few more in there. But winning that title for the first time was huge. And me and my dad kind of reflected on that, because that's kind of reaching a pinnacle in the biggest promotion in the world, and blah, 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 everything that went with it was huge. And then segue over into the ups and downs. I go to WCW, I'm back in WWE, kind of climb that ladder, and politics and everything that we've covered on here a multitude of times, but got really red hot in the China angle and dropped the title. And that was a whole different set of circumstances. But on the way out, did good business, made good money. It was a success in spite of a lot of different challenging moments. And now we get over to WCW and the Russo situation, and then he's out, and the Bischoff situation and all that. But at the end of the day, just what you laid out as a young child watching the touring champion, and my dad's favorite before my time was Dory Funk Jr. and NWA title, and the Briscoes and the Funks, and then Harley and, Rick, and all that, just the lineage of that belt. And then the 83 weeks, we'll call it, is over. and this company is down, and the UK tour does of almost 40,000 tickets sold, and half the cards not there. Just all the political BS. And now it's, the back against the wall, and they're doing a reset. And no matter how you slice it and dice it, in the reset, the two highest ranking executives, Vince Russo and Eric Bischoff, decide to go with me. And so having that opportunity was huge, and winning the 10 pounds of gold with my entire 3 generations of history that goes with that, I'm much more proud of it today than I was in April of 2000. Because yes, we can go TNA LOL or WCW LOL or the pea shooter and all those kind of stories. And that's all great. We have a blast with it. But the reality is, I got into the business, and I'd be lying to you and anybody else if I didn't dream of, I want to be the world champion one day. I literally want to be the world champion. MJF is doing it right now. He got into business. I wanted to be the world champion, and to put the big gold belt, and you named all those prior champions, around my waist. It was a pinnacle that I thought was a complete dream in my head, but the dream became a reality. And in spite of all the mess and the funk, but at the end of the day, the little boy from Hendersonville, Tennessee was sitting on top, at least for the day.